Well, Tasha and Russell, they both love reading books. Tasha and Russell, they both love reading books. Well, what do you do when you share such love? Well,
Welcome
you
to the
start a club, you
122nd
start a
episode
club,
of
an
the
adult
ABC
book
Pod,
club,
the
an
Adult Book
adult
Club
book
with Taja and Russell. I
club,
am Russell.
and
She
a
is Taja.
podcast.
Hey, and welcome back, everybody, to the podcast where we drink wine and we read things. And on this episode, we read The Mountain in the Sea by Ray Nayler. But before we get to that, it has been, I lost count, like 3 weeks. So, Taja, what has been going on with your summer and your trips? And folks, sit down, lock in. It's going to be a little bit of a longer catch up here. So, Taja, what's been going on in your life?
I'm gonna try to truncate it mostly for listeners' sake. Barry and I went to the Canadian Rockies for it was like 12 days. So nice good chunk of time. We rented a car and we drove from Banff to Jasper, and we spent a little bit of time. Well, Jasper's also in BC, but we spent other time in like around the other side of the Rockies. So we were in Banff, Yoho, Jasper, and there was another park. I don't remember. Anyway, that whole zone, really pretty, really amazing. Everything. Honestly, we saw some really cool wildlife. Had a thankfully in the car grizzly encounter. Um, and we did this really epic hike called the Tent Ridge Horseshoe. If you're interested, Google it or look it up on All Trails. It was about a 3,000, a little less than 3,000 foot elevation gain. It took us what was supposed to take 4 to 5 hours, took us 8 hours. We ended at 10:30 p.m. The sun, mind you, sets at like 10:20 in that neck of the woods, which literally was the woods, and we had to bushwhack through the woods at 10 p.m. Because the trail was missing. There had been avalanches a couple weeks earlier, so there was like snow and trees that had just annihilated the trail. We didn't have all trails at that time, which was stupid and definitely our mistake. But it was like a harrowing 8 hours. But the reward was amazing views and I don't want to say untouched because clearly it was touched. And people hike that trail regularly, so it wasn't like we were the first people there, but it felt very like explorer style.
Yeah.
That was it was amazing. Would I do it again? Yes, but very differently, and I would be very much more prepared. Um, but once in a lifetime kind of thing. Thankfully, we still had our lives at the end of it. And the other cool thing was when we drove from Banff to Jasper and Jasper to Banff on the way home, we had this thing that we had pre-purchased. It's called Get Your Guide. It was like an offline, it goes off of GPS, so it knows where you are and it tells you where the pull-offs are, where the things are of interest are, and it gives you like the history of basically westward expansion in Canada and like the
Cool.
explorers. It was very cool. We named the voice David um, because we were like, he's like David Attenborough, but Canadian. Um, it made sense to us at the time. But it was really, really cool and very informative. And if you're gonna he has or he, it's not him, it's the company, whatever. Get Your Guide has like a bunch of different national park things that are designed like that, so you can be offline and still enjoy the information that exists.
Mm.
And yeah, it was spectacular. So, so, so amazing. It was really lovely spending the 4th of July not in this country. Um,
You got
and
Canada Day. You're up there for
we
Canada
did
Day.
get Canada Day, yeah,
Nice.
thankfully, and we weren't in like the big town for Canada Day, which meant that we didn't have to deal with like big parades and
Mm.
shutdowns of things. We were in this little tiny place. One of our Airbnbs, the Airbnb at that place had a hot tub on this deck that overlooked the Rockies. It was so spectacular. Um, yeah, I really know how to pick those Airbnbs, I'm not gonna lie. And I saw my first ever moose
That's
in
the big news, folks.
that
Come
is the
on.
big
Yeah.
news. Yeah. I've never seen one. I've lived in New England my whole life basically and have never seen one, and that's just wild. And we didn't have any like out of the car wildlife encounters, which is also ideal. Um, yeah, so that was amazing. I feel like other things happened, but that was probably the most important bit
I think it's
was
important. I liked how you said we had a grizzly in the car moment, but you were in the car,
I was
not
in the
with a
car.
grizzly.
Yes. Grizzly was not in the car. There's also, I don't know if you know this about Banff, but there is this one bear, this one grizzly bear. He is called the Boss. He is the biggest bear in the park. He has fathered, I think they said like two-thirds of all of the grizzlies in the park.
Oh.
So he's a big boy and he's been busy. And he is a boss. Like they tried to tracking collar him and it didn't work. He like got rid of it in like a week or under a week. There were all these hilarious comments because when people see him, it's like a big deal.
Mm.
Um, the bears really like, or they're attracted to the train tracks, which there are tons of trains in the area. Um, because the grain spills out and they go for the grain that's on the tracks.
Makes sense.
And apparently the boss had an encounter with the train and all these commenters were like, is the train okay?
Here's the
um,
Chuck Norris of bears.
yeah, he is the Chuck
Yeah.
Norris of bears. So one of my pieces of swag, of which I have a respectable only 4 items of swag. Thank you. I thought I did really well
Yeah.
for myself. Barry got a couple, but
You
um,
mean you got a couple for Barry that you'll then take?
maybe. One of them is really great. It's called May the Forest Be With You, and it's like all of the Star Wars characters, but like Moose and Bear and like all this other stuff is
Nice.
really funny. So I might steal that one, although it's probably too small for me. Anyway, um, I forgot what I was trying to say about the swag.
Four swags, which you did well holding back on.
I did. Why
Maybe
was I
that all your restaurant themes were
Oh
trying to
no,
be.
it was about
No?
the boss. I have a
Okay.
hoodie that just says the boss. And it's like him on it and it's the best thing. Which like I needed a hoodie there and I do not need it here right now. I'm gonna.
No, no, you do
It's
not.
so hot here. That was a big struggle bus coming back to real summer.
Yeah, yeah, real fucking, yeah,
Yeah.
apocalyptic summer.
Yeah. Yeah, but we will definitely need to mow the lawn soon and we did plant some annuals to yesterday.
Nice.
So it feels like we're in the mode now for summer.
You guys are ready. You're ready to do
We're
this.
ready. We're ready.
Nice. For me, I've also got a bit of a big whatever. It's been 3 weeks, a big catch up here. So the big thing is I had to go to Florida, which we kind of knew, but this plan has changed 25 times, not exaggerating on that. And basically, what happened was the week before we decided we were going to move this trip about 3 weeks forward. And so my brother and I flew down to Florida. We met our parents in Tampa, and my brother went with my mother and flew back to Connecticut so they could drive her here from there. And me and my dad got to drive from Tampa here because of their dog and their car and stuff. So my parents are moving back here after 10 years in Florida. And the big story of the trip home was we were so I like I'm very much a control freak, and the 24th plan that we had come up with was that we were going to drive until I got tired and then stop and stay in a hotel for the night that let dogs stay there and go from there. And so I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning that day to catch the flight out of Connecticut because we had to like time it right with the return flight and everything. So yeah, so I get in the car at like 10:30 and we start driving. And about 7 hours into this drive, so about 5:30, my dad gets a call from his neighbor who is helping with the movers that were at their house, like making sure they get everything. And she's on speakerphone and she's like, "Well, what's the plan?" And my dad's like, "Well, we're gonna drive through the night." I was like, "No, that wasn't the plan." So the 25th or 26th plan came into play here, where basically, if we stayed at a hotel, he wouldn't have been able to sleep because of everything that's going running through his mind with stress and with the move and everything else that's going on. So he just decided, without telling me, we were going to drive through the night. So I was like,
But,
okay,
but who's gonna drive?
well, that's going to be
You.
me. So
Yeah, okay.
So we got stuck in traffic in South Carolina for about 2 hours. They closed down a section of 95. It took us 2 hours to go 6 miles. They had to direct traffic off the highway around a town and then back on the highway. So
Oh
I tried
God.
Googling it, and apparently there's too many accidents that shut down 95, so I couldn't find out exactly what had happened there. But we lost time there, and then basically once I found out the new plan, I was like, okay, we're gonna switch drivers. You're gonna drive. I'm gonna try to sleep. I'll drive after that for as long as I can. We'll stop at a rest stop. I'll sleep as much as I can, and then we'll drive again. So basically, we got home at 11 a.m. the following day. And so out of 32 hours, I slept for an hour and a half. I was, and like, because we needed to get stuff for them and everything. And Amanda was like, I'm going to go to the grocery store. I was like, I'll go with you. And I got home and like I had that adrenaline for maybe 20 minutes. And then I slept for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Did
Oh
not
my God.
make that grocery trip. Yeah. So yeah, so my parents are here. They are currently staying with us and waiting. They just got the keys to their apartment. Now we're waiting for the delivery truck to make it up here so they can move in there. So yeah, been living with roommates for a little while now, which is, it was funny. Amanda and I went on a date night the other day, or date day. And when we were coming home, I was like, we have to be quiet. My parents might be asleep when we get home.
In your own
In
house.
my own house, yeah. So that was funny. So aside from them and that, I finished the dry riverbed, the
I
moving
saw
of
that. It
rocks.
looks so good.
Thank you. Yes, it was fine. It actually sucked, but it was fine. And it looks really good now that it's done. Quite a few yards of big stone are now in my backyard, which had to be moved with a wheelbarrow and buckets.
Oh,
So
that sounds terrible. And
yes.
forgive me for not knowing this, but are there plants going in there? Is it just stone?
So there's gonna be plants around and behind it, and like some in front of it, and maybe some inside of it. We'll see. But yeah, Amanda has like a vision board of what's gonna happen there,
Of course she
including
does.
like separate gardens for because it's a huge area. So there's
Yeah.
gonna be like a moon garden in one, and she's already planted a couple different, or we've planted a couple different trees and bushes behind it to try because like the nature is reclaiming
Yes.
it too.
Yes.
So it's like let's try to have some decoration in front of
Yes.
the nature and see how that goes. So yeah, it's I mean it's already been like a 3-year project I think at this point, and now with the planting, that'll probably go into next year too. So
Another.
it'll be done in like when I'm dead. It'll look nice. It'll be like all grown up and looking good, and it'll be like, oh, who did this? And they'll be like some idiot that used to live here. It's like a lot of work. Yeah, so that's been fun too, but it's good exercise in the 100-degree heat, so that's always nice too. Uh,
Yeah.
and then finally, it's a bit of bad news, but it's important news, and I want you all to bear with me with this. It's not as bad as it's going to sound, but so we've been talking a lot with the people in Rwanda, and the man who runs that home, Avode, has been dealing with a lot of health issues. And recently, he was in the hospital again for about 10 days because they're preparing him for the kidney donation. And there's a lot of boxes he has to check off for that. And while they were doing that, they discovered an infection in his lungs. And the way they wanted to treat this was to do surgery. Now, because of his dialysis and everything else that him and the family have been going through, their insurance is no longer covering anything. So there was a lot of concern about whether or not he should get the surgery. And thankfully, Sully has been like, he usually keeps in touch, but because of everything that's going on, he's been like really
More. Yeah.
paying attention, calling a lot. Like I think he
Yeah.
talks to him weekly, especially because he's in dialysis 3 times a week. So he's trying to keep him company and everything. So because of that, Sully was able to really persuade him to get this surgery done, basically saying, hey, there's one of you and we'll figure out the money. Like, don't worry about it. So it was a good thing. The doctor said when they got in there, they realized it was a lot worse than they thought. So there was a lot of cleanup that happened in there, and they were able to get it all. But he was in the hospital for, I think it was like 7 to 10 days recovering from that. We still have the kidney transplant to get through. And until he does that, he's on dialysis again 3 times a week, which is about $700,000 for Rwandan dollars, which is about 500 and change USD. So the reason I bring all this up to you, our listeners, anybody who wants to hear it, we are going to start a GoFundMe specifically for Avode, because this is a man who, for the last 20 to 25 years of his life, has devoted it to not just his faith and his belief in the Lord and Jesus, and that he is meant to help people, but also to the belief that he is meant to help children that are less fortunate. So he has worked with so many kids, trying to better their lives, trying to get them to change their ways, giving them home, food, um, getting a way to get them to school, better futures. We don't know how many kids that he has affected in his time doing this, because literally there's been times where he shared a one-room apartment because that's all he could afford with 60 kids, 60 boys. Just that's, and if I can get some food, I'll help you. So we had Sully write a blog because he knows more about the history of Avode, so we can share that news. And we're working on building a GoFundMe that will have kind of a bridge version of that, and then with links to the blog and the website if you want to know more about it. So before this, all the fundraising we've ever done, everything we've ever done has been about the kids. And every money, every dollar we've ever asked for and gotten has gone to school fees or food for the boys, shelter, clothing, everything. It is just about them. This is the first time we're asking for a vote. So once we get that up and running, I'm going to put a link in this show. I'm going to put links on our Instagram so you can see it there, on our Twitter. And what I'm asking is, when that goes out, if you can donate, that's great. But really what we need the most is for people to spread the word about this, to spread that link, because unfortunately, we've been kind of talking to the same people for 15 to 20 years, saying, hey, this is a great thing. We're helping these kids. We're trying to do incredible work for people that you'll never meet, but it means something to them. And this man is at the heart of it. So what we're asking is for people to really try to push that GoFundMe, and we'll get it out there when it's ready. It'll be the next couple days, maybe by the time this is actually out, because who knows, my life's a little crazy right now when we're going to edit this. But once that's out, if people could just share that and just try to get more people to see the incredible work that this man does. And a man who, again, has never asked for help, and we're asking for it for him. Yeah, thank you for going through that with me. And again, if you have any questions about any of that, please reach out through our DMs or to me personally, and I'd be more than willing to tell you anything about Avode, about Ubaka, any of that stuff, but we'll get those links out there, and I appreciate you listening to my TED Talk about that now. But it is something we're very passionate about because, again, this is just, he's irreplaceable. And kind of like Sully said, like, there's one of you, dude. We will figure out the money, and that's what we're working on now, is to make sure that he can keep doing this incredible work that he does. So yeah, so be on the lookout for that. And again, anybody that can just share it and try to get new eyeballs on it would mean a big deal to us. So, all right, back to the podcast. So that will be on our socials, which you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Adult Book Club 21. Oh, wait, before I get there, a little bit of fun news now that we got emotional. There's something to be said about getting something in the mail. So the other day, shout out to friend and listener Angie. She sent me this many populated eyeball bookmark from Istanbul with a note that says, "This is to protect you from bad books like Model Land."
Oh, I love that.
So,
that's so cute.
Yes. So thank you, Angie, for that. But you can find us on, sorry, sidetrack and ruin my great transition. But no, I was like, oh shit, that's why I brought it up here, so I wouldn't forget. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Adult Book Club, and YouTube at Adult Book Club 21. It's all one word, Adult Book Club, the number 21. Find us on there. You can find our personal socials linked to that as well if you want to talk to us, or you can see it on your screen right now. So on that note, let's move back to the book. I told you it'd be a long catch up, so you were warned in advance.
We're warned.
The book, once again, is The Mountain in the Sea by Ray Nayler. And The Mountain in the Sea is the debut novel for Nayler and was originally published in 2022. Before the book was released, Nayler had focused more on short stories, releasing 12 between 2015 and 2022. He has since released 3 more books, his latest being Palaces of the Crow, which came out in May of 2026. His work often focuses on ecology and questions of consciousness and intelligence, both in animals and AI. So, Taja, on that note, if you want to read us the jacket, we will jump into this book about octopus.
All right. The transnational tech corporation Dianima has sealed off the remote Condau archipelago, where a species of octopus has been discovered that may have developed its own language and culture. The marine biologist Dr. Ha Ligian, who has spent her life researching cephalopod intelligence, will do anything for a chance to study them. She travels to the islands to join Dianima's team, a battle-scarred security agent and the world's first and possibly last android. The octopuses hold the key to unprecedented breakthroughs in extra-human intelligence. As Dr. Nguyen, I'm pronouncing that wrong.
I was saying win.
Win?
Yeah, win, like Dr. Win.
Win. Okay. Struggles to communicate with the newly discovered species, forces larger than Dianima close in to seize the octopuses for themselves. But no one has yet asked the octopuses what they think or what they might do about it. A near future thriller, a meditation on the nature of consciousness and an ecological call to arms. Ray Nayler's dazzling literary debut, The Mountain in the Sea, is a mind-blowing dive into the treasure and wreckage of humankind's legacy.
Nice. I will say, hopefully there's not too much fuzz in the background because
I can't hear it.
okay, good. My roommate is now rocking out to music for some reason.
I love that. I hope he's dancing too.
I hope he's not. He'll fall and break a hip. So, as you pointed
Fair.
out there, a lot to get into here, and we do have quite a few point of views. In fact, three of them for our story, but it is dominated by Dr. Ha Win, is how I was saying it.
When
I'm going to call her Ha as much as possible, trust
yeah,
me. So, what did you think of her as we got to know her?
like a lonely workaholic, I guess. I appreciated her knowledge and her like I guess sort of worldview. I don't know, the snippets in between the chapters that were from her book, How Oceans Think, were the highlights for me. So I appreciate her as a scientist. I think that she does good science. um, but I think this will come out in other answers to questions that I feel as though I didn't really get to know any of the characters super well. So I can't really speak much to her other than that she was just sort of like the one of the main mouthpieces for um, the I don't know, she's on the side of the octopuses and I'm here for that.
Yeah. Yeah, Ha, for all of like she had good parts to her, as you just said, like how she takes the side of the octopus, how she is here for the animals, for the environment. You know, she doesn't have any other job offers really going on because of the incident, but also she's doing the best what she can to protect what she thinks is important, which is the animals here. So I can appreciate that side of her. Aside from that, I thought Ha was incredibly bland. Just if you tried to give us more to her, there really wasn't anything there.
Right.
She has her relationship with Cameron that we see, and
Which is
we
also pretty bland.
yes, yeah, not much fun going on there. And like it's all about work to her. So, well, I can like I don't know, you said it right where like I feel like we didn't get to know them. Like the biggest thing I can remember about Ha was it's like, oh, she felt more at home underneath the water than she did
Yeah,
on land. Okay, cool.
cool.
And she had the Croatia incident for her,
Yeah,
which we beat around the bush to say why she was here or whatever. I just out of the three of them, like she plays the most well, she definitely plays a more important role of Aiko and probably more than Rustum as far as like the whole story, the main
sure.
overlying
Yeah,
story
yeah.
of the octopus. So yes, she was important in that sense. I liked how she approached that and how it all felt very realistic. I think that's
Yeah,
going to be the main thing I go back to in the story
yeah.
was it felt for what it was being fantastical as it is and obviously a future
A
with
speculative
sentient
fiction.
octopus.
Yeah,
I felt like it was a realistic approach to how we would handle it and also how the timeline would go
sure.
if this was real life. So I can appreciate that side of her, but at the same time, there wasn't a single moment where I gave a shit about her. And like, not to say
That
she was
wasn't
ever like really in danger, but there wasn't any moment where I was like, oh no, Ha, like if she dies, we revolt or anything. I was like, whatever, just replace her.
That's kind of how I felt about all of the characters.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that is again something that will be a reoccurring theme here. It just
Yeah.
you touched on it before we started recording, but I think spoilers before spoilers, what really shone through in this was the that Naylor had a history with short stories
Yes.
because it felt like each one of these characters was their own short story that you put in
Yes.
the same world.
Yes.
Um, but spoilers before spoilers, when the connection came through, it felt flimsy at best, where it was like, oh, I kind of wrote this story, and I wrote this story, and I wrote this story. And if I use like whatever it is, Dianema or
Diana.
whatever, yeah, if I use that, okay, that connects them all. Okay, cool. But like, and
But
yes,
it
some
could
of
still,
it, go ahead.
as you said, it could still be like three short stories in the same sort of like universe. Dianima is the like common thread, but
Yeah,
there's like different. I agree completely that it felt very it felt disjointed and then put together, threaded together with like the weakest material
yeah.
possible.
I think to be fair, they do also all share empathy as we see in their own ways. And like Aiko, I
Yes.
think struggles with it the most, and also who they give it to. Like for Ha, it really stands out because she's empathetic towards those that others aren't, especially
Right.
Evram, who we'll get into is like the AI android, and obviously the
And the
octopus
octopus.
because of her feelings towards them. So like, yes, they had that in common too, but it's yeah, I don't know if we were trying to do like these misfits like somehow bond together to save the octopus,
And like
but it didn't feel
fine,
that way.
but there wasn't enough of a picture painted of any of them to make me really like feel for them. Like they're a character. They're just like a I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but yes, I feel like it wasn't fleshed out
Yeah, I agree. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the Bruce Springsteen sing along we're having in my
enough.
kitchen.
I can't hear it.
So moving on to our other bland point of views. Our other two were Rustum the hacker and Aiko the slave on the AI-controlled fishing vessel. I was wondering, did one of these storylines stand out to you more than the other, or did one of them seem more important to you? Yeah,
I
not to be
mean,
leading in my questions.
for like a very long time, I couldn't really understand like why we had all these other POVs and why they were so interspersed. Like
Mm,
it didn't really align for me easily. I kept like waiting for a connection to happen, and then when the connection did happen, it was like you said, I think maybe before we started recording, flimsy. It was a
yeah,
flimsy connection that like the there were common threads of you know empathy and like there were kind of sad stories and there were obviously connections like with Dianima and whatnot um but it didn't feel as imperative to me to have the different POVs. Like I love this is going to be a weird stretch. Love Actually, that or not even Love Actually. Playing by Heart is an even better one. Movie.
I think I know that one.
It's so good. Angelina Jolie, Ryan Phillippe, Gillian Anderson, Jon Stewart. Anyway, all these different disparate stories that like have these connections, and the connections when they happen are really satisfying.
Yeah,
And like that's what I was hoping would happen with these, and I just that didn't get that delivered. Um, and so there's just sort of a disappointment to the point of like nothing really standing out. I mean,
yeah,
I think you said it before we started recording. Rustam's like point
sure.
of being
Yeah,
there and like the POV of that I think was maybe more important only because there was a more like direct connection
mm,
to the other characters. I'm not gonna have spoilers before spoilers, but um I guess that one stood out a little bit more
yeah.
because of that. But there were again some common threads in terms of Aiko and Ha and they're like discovering that it's important to care about other things.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I don't know, they were kind of all I don't want to say all letdowns, but the fact that there wasn't stronger connections was a letdown.
Yeah, to me, Rustum kind of grabbed me the most just because he was the most different. His kind of
Sure.
felt like a spy thriller, not so
Yeah.
much of a thriller, but trying to be a thriller, wedged in the middle of this scientific
Yeah.
transcript or whatever you want to call it. Like, it was really interesting to learn about how octopus, how their brains work and how their bodies work and all that stuff. And like Ha gives us a lot of that. And then she also tells us about how they, other companies and countries have developed drones that kind of simulate that, and how Dynama are interested in this because they want to replicate that. And okay,
Right.
that all makes sense. She was a lot of information about the world.
Very
Um,
sciencey.
and like there was action in a way of like how they interacted with the octopus and like those kind of in engagements, but like
Mhm.
never threat of life or whatever really,
Yeah.
other than like the thing we see at the beginning with the guy who, we hear the stories of the monster of Kondau or
Yes.
whatever. Okay, cool. But like as far as our main team, we don't really feel that sense. So Rustam is kind of like trying to be a rogue James Bond or whatever, Tom Cruise kind of Mission Impossible, Ethan Hunt, where he's just like, I'm doing these things to like, I need to find out who my employer is. And for some reason, I'm like looking deeper into stuff than I ever do because this is such a complicated job and whatever. So I think what I liked most about it was just the break from everything else to him. Aiko, and this is, we talked about like, this book was long. It was like 470-ish pages, which is long for a debut. That's one thing as a guy who has thought about almost writing a book 17 times. They say like you should really stick to that 100,000 words, which is really close to like 300 pages. Because if you go over that, like some people will just look at a long manuscript, like
They're
you're a
like,
nobody, throw it out. So to think that you went one and a half times, it's like, okay, I think we, spoilers before spoilers, which we said 17 times now, I think we could have cut out Aiko's story completely. Especially in a book this long. I just felt like
there wasn't much it brought to the
all
table.
it did was world build in
Yeah.
the longest way. And we've kind of touched on that with like Tress in the Emerald Sea, which obviously Brandon Sanderson is known for this, where he will use paragraphs to world build, not chapters. And
Yeah.
Aiko felt like a storyline to world build. So it was like you really understand the AI influence here and who's behind the things.
And you understand the AI influence, but you also understand more the like um just sort of the industrial fishing and like um
How we're killing the
rape of the
environment
natural
bullshit.
world,
Yeah, yeah.
which like isn't a far cry from what's actually happening, and the need to world build so pinpointedly
Yeah.
is not. I get it, the AI for sure, like that did help, but like there's more succinct ways.
And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said like believing that this would tie in together in a rewarding way. The fact that it didn't, then you look back on hindsight and you're like, well, then why did we do this? That's how
Why
I
did we
felt.
spend so much time
When
with
I
him?
when I finished this story, I was like, okay, but why'd we why'd we check all these boxes then? That didn't seem to make sense to me. Why did I need to know all this stuff?
Especially because there was so much time spent in Aiko's POV with Sun, who is from Kondao. And so you're like learning about Kondao. Sure, that was helpful.
Mm.
But like they talk about it in Ha's POV, like it could have
Because
been
she's
done
there.
there. Exactly.
Yeah.
And like the history of it, but even still, like the same exact instance with the monster of Kondao, like that you hear about it in one POV and then you hear about it again in another feels redundant
Yeah.
and unnecessary, but then you're also like you're thinking that there's more of a connection, and then there's practically none, and you're that I don't want to get to the ending just yet, but like the way that things were tied together was like confusing, I
Yeah.
guess, or just like unsatisfying, I guess I'll say
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We'll get back to
that.
that as we're tiptoeing around the tulips here. So let's move on to a main character who's never really a POV, but he's important to touch on, and that is Evram, who is the android and humanity's closest attempt to recreating the human mind. I was wondering what you made of that character and the idea behind him. Again, knowing that Naylor, like this is one of his big things, sentience
Yeah.
in androids and animals. So, what'd you make of Evram and kind of his part in this as well?
Honestly, like he was probably my favorite character.
Yes.
I think it was really fascinating. I think that the way that he was portrayed was really neat. How it was always from somebody else's viewpoint.
Yeah.
But I still felt like if I had a connection to anyone, it probably would be him. Maybe from like an empathetic standpoint.
Mm.
I love the concept of like recognizing sentience.
Yeah.
And like it honestly made me think of Voyager's EMH, which is the doctor, the emergency medical hologram, because they talk about this a lot and like issues about him being, whether or not he's human and deserves the same rights and
Yeah.
all that. And that felt very poignant with Evram's situation. But just like the consensus that Ha and they come to and Evram come to of like you are questioning whether or not you are real, and that makes you real. Like the
Yeah.
I think therefore I am thing is one thing, but then to like just it's just some really deep shit. Like really deep thoughts happen. And just like the personality and humanity and like all of that individuality. I don't know. I just think it was a really, really neat concept and a cool way to present it in that it's like somebody else's creation. There's also sort of this like, I mean, I guess we kind of know that she's not good, but this sort of like the evil person made them.
Yeah.
And so like, are they good inherently, or are they made up of a bunch of evil people? And to just like finding themselves, I don't know, all of that was super interesting. Honestly, I could have spent more time with Evram.
Yes, I agree. And to be fair to Dr. Chan, that we'll get into in spoilers, I don't think she's evil. It's more just
No, that's true.
she's single-minded. So it's like she does not care about the repercussions. Her only
Yes.
goal is to replicate the human mind, and that's
Yeah,
what she's
I
trying
don't
to do.
necessarily think she's evil, but I don't think that she's not good.
She's definitely not empathetic.
Yeah.
She's very much like goal-oriented, and I don't give a fuck who gets in my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe not purposefully evil,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely maybe chaotic evil. It just kind of
Mm-hmm.
happens around you. I agree with all your points on Evram. I thought they were the most interesting part of this story. I can understand both sides of it. I can understand Evram and how they were struggling to figure out their identity and whether or not that they were human or not. And then, as you said, kind of just having that thought as they and Ha talk about makes them kind of human as well. And I can also understand the world's reaction to them, where it
Mm-hmm.
is scared and we don't understand you,
And what does this mean for the future of whatever?
and the
Like,
propaganda that Chan pushes to try to promote Evram backfires, where it's like you're almost showing how too good this brain is, like how close to human it is, and that makes people more scared. Like what you thought you'd be accomplishing, you're doing the opposite, where you're just making people more afraid because now they're saying, "Fuck, we're not." This is maybe we're not the top of the food chain if you're recreating this. This is like how iRobot happens.
so yeah. Great movie, by the way. Um, Two things. One is that video where Chan is like
With the
talking
interviewer.
to, yeah, the interviewer, and then like the interviewer is obviously also an android.
Mm.
And then that little moment led me to be like, is everyone in this? And like, is Ha an android? Like I had a moment where I was like, there's gonna be a big reveal.
Yeah.
And then that didn't happen. And I was
Spoilers,
like,
there's
okay,
not.
there's not.
You were reading it straight up. There's no Harlan Coben last
No.
page reveal
But
here.
did you get that vibe, or was that just me?
That kind of went into what I was saying before, where I thought there was more to Ha,
Yeah.
because that was a moment I kept replaying for sure.
Yes.
And I
I mean,
think
it just felt so like why did we put this moment in here? Like I understand that it makes Evram and like Evram, I think that Ha and Evram were watching that video or that interview or something
yeah,
together.
I
And
think Ha came across Evram watching it because it's something
okay.
he replays or he remembers it because remember he has perfect
He
memory,
eidetic,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
But like there was a moment where I was like, is there a bigger thing at play here?
yeah.
Like He's everyone. I mean, there were many times where I thought Alton Setsig was an
Yeah.
android
Yeah.
because, like, she's crazy.
She's pretty much is. Once she gets in
Yeah.
that water goo, she's might as
Yeah.
well
What the
be.
hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cybernet has taken over.
Oh my God, for real.
Uh yeah, I think Evram was probably a highlight here, which again makes
Yes.
sense. Like, and honestly, I think the octopus were a highlight. So that makes
Oh,
sense
for
that
sure.
that is what his focus is the intelligence of animal and AI. Nailed that. I just don't think he nailed the humans around them.
No, I agree. I also was hoping for a little bit of have you read Remarkably Bright Creatures?
No, we did watch the movie on Netflix though.
Oh, I haven't watched the movie yet. Is it good?
Amanda said the book was better, but it did okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I was hoping for a Remarkably Bright Creature style POV of the
Mm.
octopus in this
Hmm.
book. Like I fully was
Yeah.
hoping. Like I'll get rid of Aiko's POV, give me the
Nice.
octopus.
I agree. I would have really loved to know what the shape singer was saying.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
Also, back to Remarkably Bright Creatures, it does star Lewis Pullman, who is the son of Bill Pullman. Always have to point that out. Bill Pullman, not Bill Paxton. Shout out to Lee.
Please.
There you go. Um, I will say too, just one last thing on Evram. I appreciated him more when like the facade dropped entirely, where he like no longer was like, I take sleeping breaks. I
Mm,
smell the macaroon because I can't
like,
eat
fuck
it.
you, I don't need that.
He's like, fuck yeah, I am better than you. I have been going through those videos we get literally frame by frame, 60
Yeah.
frames per second. I'm going through 60, like whatever. I appreciated him more when he accepted what he was and like didn't let that again define him. Where then they had that conversation. We're kind of a little bit all over spoilers, but whatever.
Yeah, who
We're
cares?
just touching on the nice parts.
We're drinking a bottle of wine. It's
We're
fine.
trying wine this episode. It's been a week. But I liked Evram a lot more. And I kind of do that with a lot of different characters and stories where it's like, I'm no longer gonna accept what you tell me I am. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna be who I
Yes.
am. And if I am an android, then I'm gonna be an android, but I'm an android with feelings, maybe.
I also really loved Ha and Evram's relationship and how it grew.
Hmm.
And how, at the beginning, Ha was really struggling with like, how do I even address them? Like, I did
Hmm.
appreciate this because I'm learning Turkish, and so I like understood what she was talking about the
Oh,
like, pronoun situation. But like the her coming to grips with like how to address them, I think kind of helped her
yeah.
envision, or not envision, but like I don't know, it helped her to communicate with them about how they saw themselves and how she saw them, and like helped them grow into the comfort with like being able to say like I don't need sleep. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, just accepting them for who they were. And I thought like
Yes.
the imagery of Ephraim was a little weird as far as like didn't understand exactly what we were looking
Hold
at.
on. I was yep,
And the
yep.
idea of like the golden robe being the only thing they wore, I thought was like also
I
weird.
glossed over a lot of the like
That's
a
fair.
lot of that.
You missed nothing.
Great. I will
Excuse me.
admit, I think I said this before we started recording, but I listened to like a very good chunk of this book instead of reading it, and I think that led me to kind of space out a little bit.
I read this whole book and it felt that way as well at time.
Okay.
So moving on, we got to touch on the main plot line, of course. So our main plot line is set on the Condau Archipelago. 10-point word.
Archipelago. Archipelago.
Archipelago.
There we go.
Yeah, remember geology in fourth grade. Geography? Yeah, anyway, let's move on. With our team trying to communicate to the sentient octopus that inhabit the waters. I was wondering what you thought of the setup as we saw their initial attempts to understand the octopus and their world.
Oh man. So like it felt, I don't know if this was before we started recording, but you likened it to Arrival, and like how that was unrealistic, and
Yeah,
like the speed that this happened did feel more realistic in that it wouldn't be something that they could immediately understand.
yeah.
Totally get that. But sometimes it felt like weirdly granular and specific for like the symbols, and like not really feeling like I understood the connections that they were making.
I did not at all.
Um And I think part of this could have had to do with the fact that I was doing it on my Kindle, which means I couldn't easily like flip back to the page where the symbols were. Like if I had had the physical book, I think I would have like marked that page and then like looked back to it when they were talking about it. But even then, like
It
it
still
wasn't
didn't
a
really help.
complicated symbol.
Yeah.
So like I could still visualize it for the most part. But then I felt like they spent a lot of time kind of dissecting it.
Yeah.
Um, and then it felt like it took on a higher priority or like a bigger role than it really needed to. Like the stuff that they were figuring out about how the octopus was communicating and effectively the tools that it was using, like the objects and its skin and whatever. Um, it all got muddied for me.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like not really able to follow. The concept really cool, loved the idea, but the delivery, I felt like sure it was realistic in its speed and the fact that all of them were kind of having to like input to figure it out. I loved that part, like the go team. um but yeah, like the actual how they were coming to the conclusions that they came to, I wasn't fully convinced.
I think that's fair. I think the biggest part of this is, again, the realism of it being that we're trying to figure this out in a matter of weeks and we don't
Right.
really get far. We think maybe we figured out one.
Right.
And we see their missteps, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
To that. As far as like what you were saying, how you weren't able to go back and like look at the images, I don't think it would have mattered. Like, because they like bring up the idea of like the first human cave paintings and how like the idea of the person was like a very obvious spread leg, straight torso kind of idea. So when they said that, I was like, okay, let me look at this. I don't get it. Yeah, like I'm not seeing a person here. I'm not seeing an octopus. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to be seeing here. It
And
just
honestly, like the description of like the stuff on the octopus's skin, like all of that was I wasn't able to picture it, I think, the way that it was like meant to be.
So I thought that was probably my favorite part was that like understanding that like hieroglyphics or cave paintings like we don't come with words right away, right? Like we use figures to
Hey,
do this. So how would an octopus do that? Well, they camouflage their skin, so they would use that to kind of change their skin to show this imagery. I like that. I thought that was a really great
cool idea.
idea. I don't know anything about what the octopus was saying. You know, like I never got a clear view of that. But I appreciate that you had that idea. Like that's a very unique idea, I believe, unless it's been somewhere else and I just don't know it. And then you ran with it. And I thought that was great. Like, especially when we have that scene with the octopus that they call the shape singer. And they're kind of showing the young ones the story or whatever they're. I think they think it's a poem or a song
Yeah.
or something, and that's how but they
Yeah,
don't
she
know.
says the iambic pentameter or something, I think, is brought into play.
Yeah, okay. You could tell it was Shakespeare they had
Well,
found
how
in a
she's like,
book.
I don't understand these symbols, but I am understanding the tone. And I'm like, how can it be
And
that?
the beat. I noticed it was if
Yeah.
I set it to EDM, it really came out. I was
Mm,
like,
mm, mm.
anyway. Yeah. So believable to a point, obviously, not
Mhm.
when we get into the EDM module. But no, I liked that. I liked how they try to communicate in their own way using the colored bottles on the sand floor. I have been in an
How
ocean
everyone
before.
goes and like changes things for grammar. That was a great part.
I have been in an ocean before. There are no way those fucking bottles are staying in the sand. I don't care who you are. Have you heard of a tide or
Have you
current or
even
anything? Have you been in water?
maybe an archipelago behaves differently?
Maybe. I have not been in many archipelagos in my
I
life.
don't know shit about shit, so
I will say, like, probably a high point of it, like in the world building, in how long we spent with Aiko to give us a nugget of the world here. The octopus and what we saw through the diving equipment, the cameras and the submersibles, I thought he did a good job kind of giving us their world in this wrecked shipwreck,
oh,
and kind of like how their homes were like in the barrels and how they had like
yes.
each kind of designed, their own openings or whatever, had their decorations, whatever. When
Their
we get
octopus's garden.
the octopus's garden, when we get to where the old Jesus driving station is of the boat, and we see that that seemed a little like that's where we go a little bit
The
above and
bridge?
beyond. Thanks, the bridge,
Yeah.
where it's like they're not sure what it is, but they have all the stylized coral and everything else up there. That was maybe a bridge too far.
Hey.
Hey, but like the rest of it, I thought made sense. The how protective they were of this when they saw these submersibles coming in, like the Octopus Society, I thought was really interesting, and I
Yes.
again just the things they hit on, according to Wikipedia, were the things they try to hit on: the intelligence of AI and animals, and kind of focusing on that. So that really came to play here. The problem is, I think by the end, we didn't really get a clear resolution of anything. The mystery still is out there or whatever. And you can, yeah, it just left you wanting, I guess. I don't even know if I was wanting. I think I was
It
just more
felt
glad it
just
was over.
unfinished.
Yeah, I was like, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I said this before we started recording. Like, I was at like 90 something percent and was like, what? How is this gonna happen? Like, there's not enough percentage left
Yeah,
to wrap things up the way that would satisfy.
felt the same way reading it again. And sometimes that happens where you're like, I have 30 pages left. How are we gonna do
Yeah.
this? Yeah, no, it was wild. The last thing I did put on here was I did also like how they mentioned that maybe these octopus were from like deeper down in the ocean, and because of the
Mm,
overfishing and all that, they had been forced, and then they had found a home in this shipwreck, and that like they've been evolving for centuries. It's not like
differently.
this just happened because whatever. So again, the realism there of
Yes.
that, it wasn't, no offense to my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but there wasn't just a spillage of ooze
Yeah.
that they evolved
Cause
from.
them to
This was
evolve.
generational,
Yeah.
and as Ha points out, it's the idea that instead of giving birth, protecting the eggs until they hatch, and then because of that you starve or whatever, that's a typical octopus life cycle. Once they have children,
They
they
like
die
keep
because they have
them
stopped caring
and
for themselves. This culture was able to pass on what they learned, and that's how it builds and language moves on. And I will
yes.
say, sorry, but I will say, because when they found the evidence that the octopus, the monster of Kondau, had used a seashell, and they were like, oh, instead of the Stone Age, they're in their seashell age, I almost threw the book out a window. I was very upset about
That was hella cheesy.
that.
But I agree. I very much appreciated the sort of realism of the Octopus Society. I love conceptually, so cool.
Mm.
Like, octopuses are amazing.
They're really
And
cool.
it totally tracks that they would be some of the life forms that would sort of like gain, I'm gonna keep calling it sentience, but like society. They would create a I mean, there are other animals that do a similar thing, but like to have the steps to like language and writing and writing it on something else, which Evrim and Ha talk about, that it's not just like on their person, it's like physically putting it onto something else. Um, all of that makes sense. And I just think conceptually very, very, very cool.
Yes, I agree. And that's a great segue to our Get to Know Your Podcaster question, which is we are dealing with octopus who have created a culture and language that the humans are trying to understand. If you could pick an animal to communicate with, what species would you choose and why?
So like the obvious answer for me is dogs. Um, because like I would want to be able to talk to my dog. Um, but aside from the obvious answer, and that seems a little lame, maybe this answer also seems lame because of what I just said, but octopuses are so cool. Like I think that the author chose the right animal. Like
There.
they're so fascinating and so intelligent and so sneaky and like just so curious and like legit alien species, but also in like the best way possible. So yeah, dogs are octopus.
Nice. For the dog thing, it's like constant in film and media where they're like, "Oh, I want to understand the dog." The dog's like, "Food, food, woof, food,
So
woof,
can
food."
I tell you how much I wanted to get those little, I'm sure you've
Oh, the
seen
buttons.
the buttons for
Yeah.
Bryce because she's smart in an annoying way. Like she understands so many of the words we say, and she like has a good understanding of these things that, to the point where I think two-way communication would work. But Barry's like, I don't want to hear feed me all the
Yeah.
time,
Food, food,
which
food,
I
food.
get.
Yeah.
But
100%. Food, food. Uh, for me, I went a little outside the box. I said tortoises.
mm,
And I said tortoises because they live so long. It's like a
hmm
little bridge to the past, as a lot of them live over a century.
So
So I think it would
old.
be interesting, like as a historical professor, to be like,
Wow.
Granddaddy, what was the Great War like?
Wow. I was like,
Now,
I don't know, because I was just a tortoise in this
well,
place.
not only I was just a tortoise, I was just a tortoise, and in 90 years I traveled 10 miles because we
Yeah.
walk fucking slow. So one, you'd really have to stick to local history.
Fair.
And two, I worry that they would be like the Ents in Lord of the Rings,
Where
where
they
because they
talk
live
real
such a long
slow.
life, they're like, we think that
That is what
anything
I was
that
picturing as soon as you said tortoise. That's the voice I heard.
100%. Anything that is worth saying, we should take time to say. So, I wanted to be a little different. I thought that would be interesting because I do think like that once you get the shitty thing about like respecting your elders or whatever, like your grandparents and stuff, is by the time you like really would like sit down and be like, I do actually care. Not that you never
And I
care, but
get
like,
it.
yeah, I get it and I want
Yeah.
to know.
It's too
They're
late.
usually gone.
Yep.
It's like, tell me what it was like in the 30s.
Yep.
I'm not a douchey teenager anymore. I want to know,
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
No, that's
be,
a good
be
one.
better, kids. Listen to your grandparents.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that would be interesting. But again, there are limitations to. I need a tortoise that was like tied to a balloon or something and saw much of the world. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Like somebody's pet that traveled with them or something.
yes, this is what we did. I need fucking. I think Darwin had one. I think Darwin
Sure.
had a very famous tortoise who then somebody else famous inherited. Like
Okay.
it lived both lives. I should have. I don't know.
Somebody fact check that.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments. And speaking of comments, let us know in those oft used comments which animal you would like to talk to and why, as we await your answers with bated breath
Yeah.
for the comment section to blow up. And on that note, we move on to spoilers. And before we get there, we have your song. This is the pot that we're going into spoilers. If you don't know the book, get out. Or again, this is maybe one where you stay. Because this is the pot that we're going into spoilers. It's time to learn. I don't know. Did we learn anything else in this book?
How oceans think, Russell.
I'm a spy in spoilers. I also always know if I can like really condense it to less than a page typed.
Oh, yeah.
Trouble ahead, trouble behind. Surprised we haven't heard that one. Anyway, spoilers. So Rustum decides to go against his shadow employer and help Evram instead of hacking him. He communicates with Evram through the back door and lets him know he is setting him free and closing the door so others will no longer be able to control him. He then kills his direct contact to the employer, which was a person, and tells all he knows to the Turkish resistance. Just as the team is starting to make headway in understanding a symbol or two from the octopus, the head of Dyanima, Dr. Chan, arrives on the island. Under the guise of helping, she inserts herself into the research, but Win and Evram are suspicious of her because she always has multiple reasons for doing something. Aiko's AI boat breaches the perimeter of the sanctuary and is attacked by the drones controlled by Alt and Setseg, who is in charge of security for the team. The attack sinks the ship, but it is in close range of the wreck the octopus inhabit, and this enrages them. Aiko manages to escape the ship with his friend Sun on a life raft. The octopus attack the island and destroy some of Alt and Setseg's equipment that she uses to control the drones. They also kill Dr. Chan for no apparent reason. Dr. Ha is confronted by the octopus they have dubbed the Shape Singer, who uses their imagery to show Win her own portrait. An understanding is passed between them, and the octopus attack retreats. Ha realizes that the octopus is so good at camouflage that it has been spying on them in both sea and on land the entire time she has been on the island. After the attack, Alt and Seg tells the other two that she is a spy. I'm a spy who has been working for the Buddhist Republic of Tibet, and they have now seized control of the island to protect it and the octopus better than Dianima ever could. She tells them they are to continue their work and really nothing has changed for them. Cool. Wynn is devastated by the loss of knowledge that comes with Dr. Chan's death, but Evram comforts her, saying that they contain her full consciousness, so not as much is lost. Then they realize they are their own species at this point and someday may look to make a new and improved android, but not yet. Aiko washes up on one of the islands in the archipelago and is rescued by an auto monk from the nearby temple. After helping it work to move sea turtles back to the sea, the auto monk tells him that both he and Sun will be cared for and healed, as this is now a place to look after everyone.
Yep.
Ooh, yay!
Both.
So we have two more characters to touch on now. So what were your thoughts on Alt and Seg and Dr. Chan?
Well, Alton Setseg's so mysterious and
I
dangerous.
will say, saying her name is so much more fun when you've been drinking than reading it. Alt and Seg.
Alton Setseg. Yeah. Hearing it helped for sure. For a while, I was like, I even asked Perry, I was like, how would you say this? Like, why? So she was weird for sure.
There.
Many a time I thought perhaps she was also an android with the whole like translator thing and how she like, that was actually pretty funny how she chose like the busted one all the time because she like didn't want to fuck around with actually communicating with people.
And
the whole
she
time,
wanted people to think that she was dumb.
yeah. So she could like the whole time could have been using like a normal one and had like normal whatever. I applaud that maneuver. There was like a weird amount of animosity between her and Ha that I felt like what?
Her and Evram. You
No,
felt
her
it
and
between
Ha
her and
too.
Ha? Okay.
I think Ha was like pissed at her. She like yelled at her at one point. Like there was this weird time, like so at the beginning when Ha gets there, Alton Setseg's using the shitty translator, and there's like this weird awkwardness, and I feel like Ha's kind of afraid of her.
For sure.
And then there's this moment that happens when she starts using the other translator and like she's having like real conversations, and I feel like she's trying to make peace with Ha, like she's trying to connect with her on a different level. I don't remember what has happened, but she shows a couple of times that she actually cares about Ha's well-being, and Ha's like, fuck you.
I think Ha took offense to how Alton Setseg treated Evram.
Agreed.
For sure.
Agreed. And she calls her on it. Yeah. And Alton Setseg's even like, you're right. I didn't need to do like
but I'm still gonna do it.
I'm still gonna do it. Whatever. I mean, like, yes, I do agree. Ha took umbrage with the way that Alton Setseg treated Evram. But at the same time, there was a weird moment where I was like, this got heated in a weird way and is unnecessary. And then like things are fine. And then she goes back to using the other translator, like whatever. So all that to say, interesting character, mysterious, still didn't really care. Seemed dangerous. Then at the end, when it was like, I'm a spy, I've been working for the Tibetan Republic all along. Totally tracks.
Cool.
Whatever.
Yeah, it did not have that explosive reveal at all.
No, especially as you said in the spoilers, nothing changed about this.
She's like, you still have to work here.
You still have to work here, and it's exactly what you wanted because you guys want to protect the octopuses and like all the other people, and that's great. That's what we want to do too. Yay!
But if you leave, I'll kill you.
Right.
Don't know if that rule still applied. Probably
I don't think it does. I think that was just like a Dianima cover.
Yeah. With Alton Setseg, the animosity felt weird. It definitely felt like her and Evram had just been in the same place for too long. But like again,
Kevin Feebery.
But they're so different, right? Like,
they're so different, but they're also like so different
on top of each other.
And, well, yeah, like they're like the only people except for these auto monks.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that they would be.
the fact that she steals his
Macaroon.
macaroon, I thought was great, and how he was
That
so
was
upset
funny.
about it. But she was also like, "Fuck you, you can't eat it." And he's
You
like, "But
don't
I
even
could
eat.
smell it and touch it." And she's like, "But yeah, but I could eat it while it's still good. So fuck you."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we tried to make her. We like this felt like let's go there. This felt like a fetish thing a little bit to
Ooh.
me with Alton Setsag, with how rough she was, with how like scarred and battle tested and still like, ooh, I'm gonna fuck you up, and like how she had to be completely naked when she was in the drone ooze, when she was controlling all the drones, and that
There's a
highlighted
lot of naked Alton Setseg.
the like ridge work,
Yeah.
the terrain, the topographical map of scars on her body that we pointed out, and then like how she would like get out of the ooze bath and be like just standing there naked, be like, "I save you." The fact that she again was like actually smarter than she portrayed, and she like used that as like I don't know, a device to kind of like maybe weed people out or be like, "Hey, no, I'm stupid, ignore me," or like, "Now you've earned my respect, so I'll talk to you normally."
Yep.
Sure. So like she was mysterious, cool. She was obviously incredibly deadly, cool. But yeah, she was, like again, I felt like we missed on every human that we brought into this story, where it's just like,
And she
okay,
very well could have been an android. Like the way that they were playing it, like it could have
yeah,
just the way she seemed so often to be so robotic.
yeah, for sure,
And part of that, I guess, was the translator doing that. But
yeah.
yeah, I think a little bit of a misdirection in terms of like how much to care about her.
And the training she went through too, for sure.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, yeah, just you wanted that. I don't know. It wasn't even a betrayal because again, like you said, she's everything's the same and it's what you wanted. Okay, cool. So what does this matter? Just felt like it fell a little flat if you were really trying to do some kind of big emotional or
Yeah.
moving moment there. As far as Dr. Chan was, when we started interspersing our beginning chapters with her stuff, I was annoyed. I was like, I don't really care about this. And then when she showed up, I was like, I don't really care about this in person now. And then she dies so meaninglessly. And like they watch the video and it's like, oh, she went to collect seashells after her run because that's how she cooled down. And three octopus just showed up with their seashells and cut her down in a matter of seconds
That
and then walked away.
felt a little bit like we forgot that she was here on the island with us, and now we have to make sure that she's
Wait,
not a
what
problem.
about Chan? Oh no, she did. She did.
Oh, I say you, she did.
Yeah, we found her. She did.
Um,
Yeah, made her everything about her made no sense because there was no greater reveal.
no. And like the only bits that I thought were interesting about her were her little snippets of building mines before the chapters. Like
Yeah,
that was really all she was bringing to the table. And I guess like when she got to the island and or the archipelago and they were all chatting and it was like I don't know, seeing how she was with everyone was interesting, but at the same time I don't care about her and like I don't know. I feel like she was there to be the antagonist.
yeah, and it didn't play that way because she
No.
was helpful and she didn't do anything ever to like. If she realized Evram had been set free by Rustum at some point and tried to like undermine that, if she like triggered the attack of
That
the
would have been
octopus
different.
to try to like
Yeah.
whatever, sure, then she has a point. She had
Right.
no fucking point to be there. I think it
Right.
was literally that the Tibetan free people of whatever couldn't have taken over if she was still alive, maybe. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, she didn't matter.
Also,
Unfortunately, like,
like she was kind of a when she came to the like Diana was dying, her company like that all everything was like crumbling. And I think Evram said something about this. Like you didn't come here, like you basically came here to like escape the
yeah.
reality of the situation.
Yeah, no information out, no information in, people won't
Right.
know you're here, kind of thing.
Right.
You're hiding.
You're hiding. Which like, I don't know, again, kind of more to your point of like, what does she even matter?
Yeah, I agree. Um, Moving on. What did you make of the team's attempts to understand the Octopus Society? Did anything stand out to you about it? I feel like we kind of touched on this, but was there anything you wanted to touch on post spoilers?
I mean, like the only thing I think that stood out to me, or the thing that stood out to me the most, was what I said before of like the way that they all work together, the way that
Mm,
their different interpretations of things and their different experiences made them visualize different things about it. So like
mm,
they could pinpoint different stuff because of their own experiences, and I thought that was really cool and also really really realistic. And yeah, it just made it seem it was logical to have different people with different backgrounds and different knowledge, and especially Ephraim, who's like literally a computer, um, seeing different things and like building on the things that Ha is seeing and building on the things that Alton Setseg is seeing, and like fuck Chan. Um, but those the teamwork, I guess. I
yeah.
think that was just the skill set aspect of everything.
I appreciated the realism of it, as I've said numerous times, and how they were trying to communicate with them. Like, it was interesting how I think the octopus. Well, first of all, so like the imagery, right? They kind of decide, and I guess this is what we're sticking with, is that image that we're seeing is the eye closing and then opening. Um, sure, didn't really
Yeah.
get that. Also, don't understand why you would be doing that with your storytelling. That wasn't really explained, and that's like the image they made was like the eye half open. So what does that mean? Like I think they were better in their beach drawing where they kind of like did the hey, there's 3 points over here because we're three people. Is that what you're looking for? Yeah, so but those mistakes, those trip ups, it made it believable that they didn't know what they were doing. The thing where it took like a very left turn, I think, was with how the carving, the bringing writing into it, how the shape singer, like I liked the idea of how they would feel and like how they talk about the octopus mind is not centrally located, like every arm kind of has its own mind and it does its own thing. So that's like when they were interacting with Ha, and it's like different touch points and feel and trying to understand her. Cool. When they decided to give her the coral carved person in
Into
her
her
goggles,
goggles.
yeah, hey, hold this. That, first of all, how do they even know what fucking goggles are? So, how do they know ripping that off is not like ripping their eyes out?
Well,
One.
they seem so observant to understand, like, put it in their hands.
Yeah, right? You're gripping her wrist. Just drop it there. It'll be okay. But that whole side of it, the writing side of their language felt, and maybe it's because it's less believable. Again, you're using the camouflage to create hieroglyphics. Like, how are they how how are they grinding or marking or inscribing this stuff, and then like how in the bridge that coral garden is also decorated with like 30 skulls and they're like, oh, it's like an altar, or they think we're their gods, and again, this is them just guessing, but it also just leaves me with more frustration at the end of the book where we don't know the answer. Again,
Right.
believable, but also what the fuck, why did I just read this? Like, cool, you know a lot about octopus and you could guess, you could create this story in a believable fashion for the most part, but what did we really get out of this? They have their lifetimes left of research and maybe they'll learn a word.
Yeah.
Yay, I feel so fulfilled after 470 pages. Uh, yeah, that's how I finished that. I said I was frustrating to not really have a good ending here. Like it just,
I completely agree. It felt very, like I was saying before, I'm at like 90 something percent, like what's gonna happen?
mm,
And then not much happened. And it felt very unsad. I felt unfulfilled.
I did too. So moving on. Let's get to that ending. What did you think of our ending with Aiko's ship triggering the attack, and then Alton Setseg's confession of who she works for and the takeover?
So it was like comparatively so sped up. It was a little bit jarring. Like
Mm.
it felt like the fast forward button had been pressed and that we were just like quick get to the end. Um I don't know. I think overall bows, sort of, like in a
Poorly tied bows.
yeah, or like not even bows, but just like packing tape of like knotting it shut. Like
Nice. Yeah, way too much because the
way
box
too much.
doesn't work.
Yeah, like you can't even open the box. Whoever's receiving the box is gonna have a bitch of a time. But like it was easy for you to do. You don't even have to
Yeah,
tie the thing.
yeah.
To put it into a phrase, that's how I felt. Yeah, um I don't know. I think the we've touched on before, like the Ico boat wreck sun thing didn't really like what didn't seem necessary, wasn't applicable to the ending. Like, I guess the only thing that I can take from that is, I guess, the positive of that Auto Monk being like, this is a place for,
You're
unwanted
safe.
things. Yeah, like,
It's the
cool.
Island of Misfit Toys.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
kind of the vibe I'm getting is like, we're just going to be the place where people go or people can be and not, I don't know, like it fell flat. We had this big overarching like humanity fucking sucks. We're overfishing, we're enslaving people to do the overfishing, we're disregarding sentience in octopuses, in androids, and humans suck. But like these auto monks who are also androids, we're cool. It's fine. This little tiny bubble is cool. And then what? Like, I don't know. I just felt very like, okay.
Yeah, I think the thing that, all right, I don't know. There's many things that annoyed me by the end, but one being I kind of had the feeling that one of our storylines was out of sync.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
thought it would be
With
Aiko's.
time.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
thought
me
it'd be
too.
Aiko's
Me
because
too.
we see the AI ship get
Yeah.
destroyed,
Yeah.
whatever it was, a few weeks before
Earlier.
Aiko's ship does. So I was like, oh, that was probably him, and I'm just waiting for him to wash up on shore
And
at some
then,
point and like join
yes.
the team or
Yes.
something, or
Yes.
with
Yes.
Sun, and Sun can tell you about the sea monster or
Yes.
Condao. That didn't happen. Of course, it's
Nope.
Rustum's who is out of time, which doesn't matter. As I pointed
But
out
like
before,
barely.
yeah, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, how long is Ha there? Like 3 weeks,
Is
maybe,
it?
if that much.
I thought it was
Um,
longer, but yeah, whatever.
yeah. So what I was thinking was, as Rustum was going through his stuff and he's talking about how like detailed this mind is, like I thought Evram's mind would have kind of been out there. Not so
Yeah.
much that like hackers are getting into it, but enough that people would be like, oh, that's the android. So
Right.
my thought was, oh, he's talking about how beautiful this is and constructed and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, this I was thinking that Ha was also an android. This was like the new development. This is why Chan showed up to see how her
Her
AIs
androids are
are
doing.
working together. Not the case. Rustum is looking into Evram. Evram has been set free. Good for Evram. But why? Why then? Why?
Whoop-de-doo.
Aiko's ship is the second ship that comes in here again. And I think what really frustrated me about it was we already had a ship enter the perimeter and get destroyed. That could have been Aiko's ship. We didn't need to know Aiko. It didn't fucking matter. He did not, as we said, he did not interact with the others. That the through line is very flimsy, and like even to the fact of like bows on bows of packing tape, the fact that Sun survives when he's like bleeding out
That
all
was
over the
so
raft,
annoying.
and like it's just the Automunk being like, "Well, also your friend is showing a small lifeline." Woo.
Yeah.
Dude, nobody even cared about any of these people. Just fucking kill one. It's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody else on the boat dead. But you guys had the fucking drone cloaker
The quiet,
that
yeah,
protected
the
you.
bubble.
Yeah. It's a bubble. So yeah, that was just ridiculous. That again, the ending was the ending. So I could have been the second time I threw the book out the window, unfortunately. I just wanted more. I wanted to like the octopus to do something. Like, and they do this attack, but then it's called off by the shape singer. And it's like, okay, because she respects Ha or they have some connection. Okay, cool. Maybe that connection is what we're supposed to take away from it. But like I just don't see anything that I'm walking away from the story being like, oh, that. Like
Well,
realism, sure.
also, like this entire time, the whole book, I feel like there wasn't actually a fully formed two-way connection between the team, Han, the team, and the octopus. There was
Yeah.
always like a now we're having to interpret, and like if the ending had been more about okay, we've made a some sort of breakthrough where they're standing in front of each other communicating in some way that's more truly back and forth, that would have been,
And I guess that's what the portrait of Ha is supposed to be, where like
I
Shape Singer,
guess.
it's literally the I see you from
I
Avatar.
guess.
Yeah. Also, how good was it? Was it like caricature? Like, I want to know if they like really exaggerated the
Like a
ears or
sock
something.
puppet of Ha.
I think it's me. I don't know. Again, they're like,
Listen,
fuck, dude,
you
it took you,
saw her whole face in
it took
its.
you like fucking 3 weeks to figure out it was an eye closing, and now they're gonna show you a portrait of your fucking face. Come on.
And also, like, that just means that they, like, they're like portraiture. They can do portraiture.
Yeah.
Like, are they actually communicate? Like, that,
Hey, this is you.
yeah,
Cool.
cool, thanks.
Great time
Yeah,
for a selfie.
yeah, right. I needed more octopus
Yeah.
communication.
I needed more meaning, not just like the
Yeah.
story continues. Also, it's not a
It doesn't
it's
continue.
no, yeah, there's no sequel coming, which would upset me even more, honestly.
If there was,
Because then it's
yeah.
like, oh yeah. At least not that I know of. But yeah, so just and then the twist of Alton Sag that we kind of touched on, where she's like, I'm a spy. Also, I've been here the whole time.
Yeah, no, that
Nobody
I was like,
cares.
okay,
Yeah, nobody cares.
means
Again,
nothing
do
to
your
me.
jobs. Do exactly what you wanted to do. Be free.
Yeah. Like, oh, don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, okay, I guess I'll have this wine. Sorry. Moving on to questions and additional spoilers that I just didn't want to make more questions. Was there any surprise to Cameron being a point 0.5, as they called him? Which was basically, for those who haven't read the book, it's like a projection of a person that is based off
It's
people that
basically
they've
like an
scanned.
AI boyfriend or an
Yes.
AI partner.
Companion.
Companion. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
perfect term. I was a surprise-ish, only because like I didn't like care enough about Ha to be like, oh, this is a person that like she brought Cameron up all the time and like they
Yeah.
talked a bunch. And like when it happened, when she like destroyed the Oculus and whatever and like got to the end of his whatever it is, the bridge, rope, whatever, um,
Yeah, yeah,
horizon,
yeah,
um, it all made sense because
yeah,
like with her being effectively a hostage or whatever, captive in this research facility, of course they're not going to let you have a way out or a
yeah,
voice out. And also, like, the whole that storyline with Rustem's person having this same kind of person was like a clue in that there would be
yeah.
that. I don't know, it just felt like another way to add a level of AI or a style of AI to the storyline. It didn't feel necessary to me.
I think it just accentuated Ha's loneliness
Yep.
to be like, hey, look, she has a point 0.5. Because Rustem is so like taken aback by
Yeah,
that
it's like this is weird.
partner of his is a 0.5. And like the woman is like, yeah, I'm not really looking for anything more than a physical connection, because this 0.5, the whole point is it's a companion that gives you everything except for the physical side. So like you just turn them on and they know everything about you. You can tell them all your secrets and they're not going anywhere. Wink, of course they're going somewhere. They sell everything. But like you could just have this person that's always there and ready to be attentive to you. As soon as like at first I was like, oh, okay, like not thinking about the no communication in and out. I was like, oh, okay, sure, this is like her whatever boyfriend, husband, something, companion.
Mhm.
But as soon as Rustum experiences that, it was, we've talked about this before, it wasn't a breadcrumb, it was a loaf of bread. You gave us
Mhm.
too much. To and I don't know, like it's not like that's the point of this book to be surprising and thriller or whatever. But if you were trying to like pull the wool over our eyes, you like
It
gave us
did
a whole
work.
sheep, and we're like,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah.
okay.
I fully at points had forgotten that Cameron was even like a thing.
Nice.
So
I-
like,
He is a small part too, where it's like, oh, you can bounce your ideas off of me. It's not like
yeah,
none of the people are pivotal. I mean, they are, but they aren't. Where it's like that connection you have to them, it doesn't come through
yeah. No, I
well
agree.
enough.
I agree.
Moving on to our next additional spoiler question, not question. I know it's great. This is Taja voguing in the light. This is what you miss if you don't watch the YouTube. What did you think? And we've kind of touched on this too, but about the excerpts before the chapters.
Love them, honestly. We did talk about this before. I think like if How Oceans Talk was a book, I would read that.
Yeah,
Um, I would probably also read Building Minds. I think that the excerpts were super interesting, and I think from like a creative standpoint, really where the author shone.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think that those were like the parts that really like actually drew me into the speculative fiction aspect of the whole book. Um, and I appreciated that there were times when like Ha um sort of like harkened back to writing the book and like the things that
yeah,
she put
yeah.
in. So getting the snippets really like brought that to life for
Made it
me.
more realistic. Made it feel
Yeah.
like it was something. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
It felt like a book I could go get and read. And I would want to because the concepts that the snippets gave were super interesting. And yeah, I honestly would have, I think, preferred to read that book.
Yeah. Fair. To me, it felt like a brag about the research they did. Where it's like, hey, just in case you want to know, did a ton of research on this stuff. But yeah, it
Yeah, we'll
was,
prove it.
and I think that was like, again, the thing I found interesting about Ha and her storyline was when she talked about the octopus and how they are and their structure and their minds and how that works. So it does make sense that that was kind of the most interesting
Yeah.
part is when you're reading those quick paragraph or two being like, hey, here's how they are. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. We didn't really touch on her Croatia moment just because I brought it up about how like she decided to protect these cephalopods that she was watching, whatever. And then she did this by tattletaling in a more legal way, poachers in the area. And then the humans, because she didn't care about the humans and how they needed to do this illegal fishing in order to survive. She tattled on them to get them arrested, and then the families responded by dumping chemicals into the ocean that killed all the entire cephalopods that she was studying, and like then she went into her darkness that Cameron came out of. Was there anything in that moment that like made you like connect any puzzle pieces, or you just, to be fair,
Not
for me,
necessarily.
I was like, okay,
Yeah, no, not necessarily puzzle pieces, just like the connection between her and Aiko in terms of like caring and like recognizing that um single-minded focus isn't always the right way to go.
yeah,
That was the only thing. Like I learning that was sort of like, okay, I
yeah,
can see.
same. Same. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't made as big of a deal as the Croatia deal. It was just more
No, that's
like
true.
kind of hanging there, like, oh, I hid in Istanbul and wrote my book and whatever. And it's like, yeah.
Maybe.
Cool. The last thing I had was there anything you wanted to touch on with Evram's growth in the end, kind of realizing he was his own, or they were their own species and could maybe reproduce themselves at some point if they wanted to.
Um, I think that that was I mean I loved Ephraim, like we talked about already. I think that that was an interesting like bit only because the I could see some parallels between Evram and his or their like succession and um potentially creating a like society similar to the octopus. I don't
Hmm,
know. Like that might be a bit of a stretch, but I just appreciated the growth that I feel like Ha was pivotal in bringing about
for
for
sure.
them in terms of
Talking them through it almost.
yeah, talking him through it and like and I don't know, getting them comfortable with their own consciousness,
Yeah.
sentience, whatever, like, and not thinking of themselves as simply a creation, and thinking of themselves as their own entity, being, whatever. So I think from like a enlightenment standpoint, very interesting. Um, yeah.
I think what bummed me out the most about Evram's growth was we didn't get to see all of it. Like I would
Yeah.
have liked to have seen the issue with Rustam's story being the one that was kind of in the past or whatever off timeline, is that we didn't get to see Evram before he was freed. So like
Right.
were there moments where Chan took over and it was quite obvious or something like that where like
Mm.
him really, and because he has like a face to face, however it worked with Rustam, where he tells him he's free and this back door will no longer be breached, and like he doesn't even know if he. I think he mentions he's like not sure what things were his decision and what things were
Right.
he was being controlled before this. So it's like that freedom of now every choice is mine. So it did feel like a bit of robbery that we didn't get to see that happen. Where like someday Evram changed. Like we do get through his conversations with Ha, he has that moment where he stops giving a fuck about pretending to sleep and all that, which was great. But I just wish we could have seen him before and like seen if there was really that
Right.
big change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially the fact that he's even like, it happened the day you arrived. Like
I was
literally
like,
the day you arrived.
I was gonna say, wasn't there some overlap? But I guess not really if it was like the
It's
day.
like I
Yeah.
went
So like
out to
the
collect
only
seashells and
time
you
we get
found
to
me.
start seeing Evram is the time when this, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
Was
I wonder
there
if that's why when Chan got there, she was like so intent on watching them, was that she was trying to suss out. She
and
probably sensed that something felt different
or
about.
she had tried to like link into him and was
Yeah,
unable to. I'm sure there's again, she had multiple reasons for being
she
there as
sure
we found
did.
out. So
Sneaky little bitch.
was there anything else you wanted to touch on? Yeah, I don't know. This Yeah, I agree. This happened. This is a
It
book
did.
that happened.
The
Uh,
cover is so cool though.
it is, and the idea, like when they get into talking about how, like especially the main octopus, not the shape singer, the other. I think it's not the same one, the one that does the killing, the actual monster of Kondao. It sounded like this
Oh,
was two different ones.
yeah, I
Maybe I'm
think so.
wrong, but like
Oh,
how they like walked up on their tentacles and like how the
yeah.
stories of them actually attacking. I was like, oh, this will be cool. We have this like we're gonna get to know this creature. We didn't really. So on that note, we're going to move out of spoilers. And moving out of spoilers, we're not yet done with the book. We have to give it our grade. We do this based on the D&D D20 scale. So 1 is bad, 20 is good. And then we add or subtract characteristic, modifier, skill, ability, whatever the hell we want. Sometimes we do multiples and sometimes we do crazy stuff to this story that we think best fits. And then we give it our final grade. We alternate every episode. So this time it is my turn to go first. I will say this is another one where um, on Goodreads, I gave this 3 stars because I thought it would land around 2.5. And it did. And then when I wrote my rundown, I took a point away. And now in talking about it, I've taken another point away. So, because, well, I'll get to it. So I'm giving this a 7 on the dice roll because I do think that it's interesting when you get into the society of the octopus, the idea of AI, especially with how prevalent that is in the conversation today and how it's shown here. Like, again, from the Wikipedia article, that being what Naylor wants to focus on, I think he does a great job focusing on it. Like, those were the two very interesting parts of this story. The unfortunate thing is the humans are not interesting and the story feels incomplete. Again, it's a little bit realistic and like this problem is not going to be solved overnight, but you gotta give me something. The fact that Aiko's whole storyline was could have been a paragraph uh kind of sucks. And like how again we talked about they had like a slight through line, but these things never actually really came together. I mean, you could say Rustam's does because of what he does for Evram, but it's still flimsy at best. So for me, I'm giving it a 7 because you can, with the beginning or like the little paragraphs before the chapters, you can see the research. I think it's interesting the idea of the Society of Octopus. I would have liked to know more about that. And like there were times where like from a realistic scientific, this could happen kind of theory of evolution, I get it. And I thought that was cool. And maybe somebody who likes that stuff would enjoy this. As far as landing overall on a book, it kind of landed soft for me. I'm going to give it a +1 for animal handling because of that, because of the octopus. I wanted to know more about that society. I enjoyed as the submersible went through and kind of saw how they were living and all that jazz. The symbolism didn't really land for me, as we talked about what the symbol meant. Not to spoiler outside of spoilers after we spoiled everything else. So it like sure, but I did appreciate again how this didn't just happen overnight or in an oil spill or ooze spill or whatever. They talked about how like they probably evolved somewhere else and then been forced here because of over fishing and everything else, and they had come to the archipelago and found this shipwreck and this became their home base, and then they were protecting it and they had been protecting it for human generations. So um, again, the realism and how we didn't just turn something on Earth into an alien, but made it a believable transition. So overall, that's an 8 for me, which is a solid 2 out of 5 stars. So I'll have to adjust my Goodreads for that story.
So I'm gonna give it a straight roll of 8. I did also bring it down a little bit. Oh, hi, puppy. While we were talking. Hello. Oh, we're so scary. There's bacon cooking. I know. Oh, she doesn't like smoke. She's freaking out.
Nice.
Yeah, I think for a lot of the same things that you said, I think that knowing that he is like a short story author very much tracks for me. I feel like all 3 of these point of views could have been short stories that aligned in some way, or like, in like one of those sci-fi magazines that there's short stories written in. I think that that would go really well. I think that it was tough to have it be such a chunky boy book, and not feel like really any connection to any character. There's a lot of effort to put in and kind of just feel meh about everyone, which we have had some of those before. But I will say that the concept of the sort of alien life and making a connection and communicating with alien life, aka octopus, on our world is very cool. I also gave it a +1 for animal handling.
Nice.
Because I think that he really did a good job choosing the right animal. Like I said before, octopuses are just so cool. They're so smart and they're so fascinating, and they're it's just what a perfect representation of a very different, culturally, socially, whatever, to us to have communication with and to strive for communication with. And I think that he portrayed that really well. I think unfortunately one of the highlights for me was those little snippets of the fake books. Both the How Oceans Think and the Building Minds. I think those concepts are really cool, and I it's fascinating that this is like his genre of thing to write about.
Yeah.
I think that he clearly knows what he's doing. Definitely done a lot of research. Definitely has a lot of knowledge about these things, enough to be doing speculative fiction in this way. But I think from a novel versus short story standpoint, it fell flat for me in a lot of ways, mostly because I'm very much a character person. Like that's what I lean towards. And if there's not even one strong character, it's disappointing. And so there was some disappointments. I think that it is an interesting concept, and I think that if somebody really liked Remarkably Bright Creatures, or if somebody is like a marine biologist, or like people who are in a certain bubble of interests, I would recommend this book to them. So I didn't want to give it like a super low roll.
It is also well written, well researched. Like it's
Yeah,
tough. Like you don't want to. It's not
I'm not shitting on it completely.
right.
Like, I think that there are things that I was expecting out of it that I
Yeah.
didn't get, and maybe my own fault. The cover art's fantastic. The blurb on the back looked amazing, and again, the concept super cool. But what I was hoping to glean from it didn't really deliver, especially with the differing POVs and the sort of like not meeting those up and connecting them in meaningful ways.
Yeah.
I think that was a disappointment. So yeah, that's a 9 overall.
Yeah. So I agree. And another one of those where we're definitely on the same page with it. So overall, that's an 8.5. So not great, but maybe some people can find a love for it if they're into that sort of thing.
I was
And
gonna say maybe there's somebody who's like, this is that Android AI
mm,
thing is like more intense for them than it is for me. But I mean, I think that the way that he portrayed humanity very accurately, because we're shitty, was good. And there are pluses. I just like the negatives kind of overweight the pluses.
yeah, I agree. So yeah, so an 8.5 overall. Check it out at your own will if you want. But it is one of those ones where, again, even just like the cover art being what it is, it seems like this is going to be more in your face than it really ends up being. So well done on the cover art, frustrating on the
Although I did
delivery.
see a different cover art when I was doing my Goodreads, and I didn't like it as much. So if I
Nice.
wonder if I'd seen that, if I'd have thought differently about the whole shebang.
Fair. So one last time, it is The Mountain in the Sea by Ray Nayler. You can find that in your bookstores anywhere. And moving on, we are not done. We are done with the book, but not done with the podcast. As we get into our segments, I will say we can start with what we missed because we just missed something in this story. It just popped in my head, and the idea of like that thin through line being Dynama, where I think Aiko's whole point is like on the life raft, he sees that it's a Dynama thing. And like, so the AI ship that is ruining the waters is Dynama, but also the people protecting the archipelago are Dynama. Like, I think that was the whole point. There you go. So, moving on from that, we have our normal starting point, which is current selection. Taja, did you get into anything else while you were exploring the great Canadian Rockies?
Not really. I did just today finish heretical fishing.
Not, did
Which
it
took me a
land? Did it
very
land the fish?
it it didn't really. I mean, I don't know. It's like one of many
Oh
apparently.
well.
Um, and so it definitely ended in like a there will be more. It was really weird. I was listening to it on my phone, just like not on headphones while we were planting some stuff today, and like Barry would be like, "What? What?" And I'd have to try to explain, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's a sentient crab." And then I was like, "Okay, I gotta roll this back." And like, it's really weird. It's
Okay.
really weird. I think if you love Dungeon Crawler Carl, it could be up your alley, but it is not as good.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, it was really strange. It was a strange book. I don't know what to think about it. I feel like there's a deeper concept happening or trying to happen, but I'm not sure that I'm ready to invest multiple books worth of time into finding out what that is. So this could be the one and only for me.
That's fair. It doesn't seem like you. It feels like you were very excited about it to start, and then that kind of waned as it went on. And like I feel like that would be Wheel of Time for me, except every
Mhm.
time in like the last 50 to 100 pages, they'd like
It
really
grabs you.
ramp it up, and you'd be like, God damn it, I gotta read the next one.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, that would be frustrating. No, it didn't. I mean, like, if I were to happen across them in a
yeah,
free way, I might listen to them again. The narrator, Australian accent, very satisfying. There is quite a lot of humor that I did find actually funny. And the only reason that I downloaded it anyway was because Matt Dinniman's blurb was on the cover. And Matt Dinniman's better.
nice.
And I did also start the 8th Dungeon Crawler Carl this afternoon before we started recording, and I'm like only one chapter in, or like the prologue in. So I
Still
can't
great
report
though.
anything yet.
Nice.
Except that I don't really remember like anything from the 7th book, and I probably should have like listened to the end of the 7th book before I started, but here we are.
Nice. Also what we missed, I'm pretty sure on your Instagram I saw that you guys are making a fox friend at your house.
Oh my God, yes. We are making a fox friend, and I didn't post this, but was it last night or the night before? It's so cute. So the thing I posted was in the side yard. It was like playing with a little other fox friend. And then a couple of nights in a row, or a couple of nights, it's been laying down in our back garden, like curling up. Like the other night it was scratching, it was very Bryce like, and it was like scratching its back and like licking its feet and licking its hoo-ha, and like I was doing all sorts of like very canine things, and it was really cute. And then it was like looking at stuff. So we've been very hyper aware of it. And the other day I went to use the bathroom and looked out the window, and I said, or maybe I was at the sink. I don't know. I was doing something and looking out the window, and I went, ooh, and it heard me, and then it like ran away, but it scampered up onto the rock first. And of course I didn't have my phone with me. So cute. Hopefully there's more than one. I don't know. It's really cute, but yes, we have been making a fox friend.
You have the making of the Disney classic Fox and Hound at your house right now. And for those faces, that's why you watch the YouTube, folks.
I do have that. I want an odd animal couple like you would not believe.
I actually would believe it.
You would believe. That's so true. I just recently followed on Instagram this one account called Dog and Duck, and it's this like epileptic golden retriever who has a duck like support animal, and they play together, and it's so cute.
Oh,
Anyway,
man.
pimping other people's Instagrams right here.
Nice. Oh, wow. Okay, that hurts my face from smiling. For me, the current selection has been Brandon Sanderson. So I read book 2 of The Mistborn, the original trilogy, which is The Well of Ascension. It's interesting because I think first of all, I always like this about him. He puts the acknowledgments in the beginning of the book. So it gives you a little bit of insight into why he wrote it. And then also, like, he gives credit to everybody because he has readers through Zeta, for God's sakes. So it was interesting because The Well of Ascension was actually the book he wanted to write to begin with, because he wanted to write a story about what happens after a rebellion succeeds. Sorry, spoilers. So he wrote Mistborn before that. And then he found issues writing The Well of Ascension because of what he had written. So like what he wanted to initially write became more complicated because he was like, you need the backstory, you need the actual rebellion to understand these characters and this world and everything. It was very interesting. There's twists and turns, great characters, obviously, so many point of views, but like it's that classical fantasy where you don't mind because, you know, it's like this whole story is based on like a thieving crew. So it's people that you're rooting for. They're the underdogs. It's very exciting. So I finished that, and then I read The Mountain and the Sea, and now I'm on to The Hero of Ages, which is the final book in the first trilogy. About halfway through that, and it's interesting because now they're dealing with like the world is changing drastically, and like obviously taking over for an emperor is not as easy as it sounds, as they have now kind of released more magical forces into the world. So I'm really enjoying it. I can understand why people really like the characters from it. And I'm also interested because now, of course, my phone listens to everything. I'm seeing like people cosplaying as Vin, who is the main character of it. And I'm like, I wonder if I've ever seen this at Dragon Con and just didn't know what it
Oh,
was.
probably.
So we'll see. It's also been out for like 20 years. So I feel like, you know,
it's
who
not
knows?
new.
But also I think they're doing a show or something. So maybe what's old is new again and whatever.
Always.
So yeah, and on both of these points, it's funny because this always happens to me. I got The Hero of Ages. I bought it through thrift books because I was like, I haven't seen it anywhere. I'm almost on the second book. I've got to read this other book. I might as well buy it. Same thing happened with The Mountain and the Sea. I bought it new. And like 3 days later, I was at a used bookstore. They had The Mountain in the Sea.
Oh,
I have seen 2 used copies of The Hero of Ages since I bought it. I was like, why does this always happen to me?
that is annoying.
It's fine. It is what it is. Continuing my Mistborn journey and then moving on from there at some point. But that pushes us along to random recommendation. And this was in one of those stores that I saw The Hero of Ages, because we went on a little date day the other day, my wife and I, at this used bookstore in Claremont, of all places. This was a book she pulled out, and it is one I remember her talking about when she read it, but we didn't actually have a copy of it. So it is The Light Pirate by Lily Brooks Dalton. Very interesting story. What I'm going to pull from the back here is, I read this book in a whirlwind, voracious as the hurricane at its heart. Lily Brooks Dalton writes with the kind of intricate sensitivity that leaves one grateful to be faultily, flimsily, adaptably, temporarily human. Harrowing, tender, and urgent, The Light Pirate is a novel of global scope and exquisite intimacy. It is.
Was it intimacy? And she said you should read it?
Well, I think it's more about like a person. I don't know. It's a story of survival and resilience spanning one woman's lifetime.
Okay.
So this may be something that we read at some point on the podcast, because it seems like maybe one of those books that's a good change up for us. But for now, my wife recommended that I buy it, and I did. So it becomes your random recommendation from her. Again, it is The Light Pirate by Lily Brooks Dalton. And this is, I don't know if it was from her before or not, but I have definitely seen it before she had kind of pointed it out to me. So check that out if you want, and maybe we will bring that to you at some point, but not yet, because on the next episode, we are going back to an old familiar. We're very excited about this, to go back to this author. It is Fredrik Backman's latest, My Friends, as we're going to jump into that on the next episode. We did cover A Man Called Uwe, and my grandmother asked me to tell you that she's sorry. And then outside of that, we have read quite a few of his novels that we haven't covered here. The blurb from this is his latest that was released earlier this year or at the end of last year.
Right. I think maybe the end of last year.
The blurb I'm pulling from the top of this: the world is full of miracles, but none greater than how far a young person can be carried by someone else's belief in them. So it's definitely going to pull on your heartstrings, as it always does. So that is, once again, My Friends by Fredrik Backman. That will be on the next episode, which means that this episode is done. So thank you all for sticking in with us. If you drank a bottle of wine with us, well, thank you for doing that too. And on that note, this has been the 122nd episode of the ABC Pod, the Adult Book Club with Taja and Russell. Keep reading.